let's get on with the story today, because it's National Storytelling Day. I've never done this before. I have to tell you, I was going to tell you a different story. I was going to tell you the Pardoner's Tale from Chaucer, but then thought, that's a story about plague and murder. So perhaps it's not the right time to be telling that story. So instead, we're going to tell a Christmassy story. We're going to tell the story of Gawain and the Green Knight. Is it working? Okay, and we're telling this story because this is a story that starts at Christmas in Camelot. Pause for a technical edit here. What are you supposed to do?
Just going to try and share.
Just unpin.
Yeah, unpin yourself.
No. No. Sorry.
Do you want to view both? It's all right, Joe.
Okay, it's the story of Gawain and the Green Knight. It starts at Christmas in Camelot. And why have we chosen this story? Because yesterday was Candlemas Day, which is officially the last day of Christmas. So it's still sort of nearly Christmas. And Christmas in Camelot, imagine the scene. King Arthur, Queen Guinevere, and Sir Bedivere, and Sir Bors, and Sir Galahad, and Sir Pellinore, and any knight that you want to mention, sitting around the table, and any lady that you want to mention. It's all popping. It's Camelot. It's popping, and people are swapping Christmassy Camelot-y presents. They're getting, what do you get for Christmas if you're in Camelot? You get a baby dragon. You get potions. You get magic shields and magic swords, and it's all popping and it's all fantastically exciting. But it has all been going on a bit too long, and King Arthur is getting a bit bored, and and everyone's eating. They're eating. Can you imagine what they're eating? They're eating swans, and they're eating guinea fowl, and they're eating huge buckets of lobsters. And Sir Lancelot is eating a lion because that's what he's like. He's the biggest and the scariest of the knights. And it's all been going on a bit too long. They've all eaten a bit too much. They're all waiting for things to get back. How does Chris draw so quickly? That's mad. Things back to normal. And King Arthur says, I wish that something would happen. Oh, I wish that something would happen. And as soon as he says he wished that something would happen, bang! The doors of Camelot open and into the dining hall, right into the dining hall, if you don't mind, not even into the stables, right into the dining hall rides an enormous man on a huge green horse. And the strange thing about this man is he is green too, from head to foot. He's green, not even because he's wearing green armor. He's just green. He's got a green beard. He's carrying a big sprig of holly. He's riding a green horse, and over his shoulder, he is carrying a massive green axe. There's the axe. And he rides into the hall, and his horse is steaming and stamping in the middle of the tables there. And he looks around, and everybody jumps up, ready to fight this invader. They want to fight this invader. Everybody except Lancelot, and they all say, come on, Lancelot, get up and get ready to fight. And he's like, I'm eating a lion. It takes a bit of time. I'm eating a lion. And they all jump up, ready to fight. But the Green Knight looks around the room and says, I have not come to fight. It's Christmas time. I've come with a new Christmas game. And King Arthur is so happy. He goes, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted for Christmas, a new game. I didn't want a magic sword. I didn't want a magic shield. I wanted a new game. I'm so bored of playing Camelot Monopoly and Blind Man's Buff and all the other Camelot-y games. So what is your game, Green Man? Here is the game. He takes his big axe and he says, the game is called Blow for Blow. And here's how you play it. Anyone who is brave enough and strong enough is allowed to take my axe and hit me with it anywhere they like. But after they have hit me, it is my turn to hit them. Who would like to play this game? And he looks around from the back of his great green horse with his great green eyes under his bushy green eyebrows and his big green beard. Is anybody brave enough to play? And they all kind of sit back down in their seats because it does sound quite an alarming game. They kind of expect Lancelot to get up and play. But Lancelot says, I'm eating a lion. And he carries on with his lion. One person jumps up, and that person is King Arthur. And he says, if no one else will fight you, I will. But as soon as King Arthur does that, somebody else jumps up. The youngest knight, Arthur's nephew, little boy called Gawain. He's just about 14. He's really young. And he goes, I'll fight. I've got my sword because I've got a new sword for Christmas. I've got my sword. And he picks up his sword. And it's like, he's very small. And he's got, it's too big for him, this sword. Why has Frank got the sword in the dining room? Why has Frank got that? Anyway, so he's ready to fight the knight with this sword. And the knight says, may I remind you, this is a game. You don't need to fight. You don't need a sword. You can use my axe. Here you go. Take my axe. Hit me wherever you like with the axe. Well, Gawain may be little, but he's cunning and clever. And he thinks to himself, I've got a plan here that will mean that I can hit this knight with his axe, and then he won't be able to hurt me. And the plan is a very, very simple one. So he takes the axe. His plan is this. He just whacks off the Green Knight's head. The Green Knight's head falls to the floor. And Gawain goes, that was the Green Knight's head falling to the floor. And Gawain goes, well, I sorted that out. What a great game. But then this horrific thing happens. The Green Knight leans down off his horse and picks up his head. And he holds his head right in Gawain's face. And he says, boom. Felt out. And now it's my turn. And he puts his head back on his neck. And Gawain's worried. This game has not gone well. So Gawain is like, oh, what am I going to do? 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 Oh, Lancelot, Uncle Lancelot, help me. I'm eating a lion, says Uncle Lancelot. Well, the Green Knight smiles. And he says, don't worry, little man. I'm not going to hit you now. I would like you to come and find me where I live, in the Green Chapel, far away on the Wirral. That's where the Green Chapel was, on the Wirral. And you come and find me a year from now, at Christmas next year, and I will return your blow. So Gawain tries to be happy. The Green Knight rides away. He tries to join in with the rest of the Christmas games, but it's hanging heavy on him. And a few weeks, as soon as the spring comes, he sets out to look for the mysterious Green Chapel in the strange and distant land of the Wirral, not far from Birkenhead. And he sets out, and he has many adventures. He meets giants and dragons. I have a list of adventures that were sent in from a school in Chipstead. These are the suggested adventures, because nobody actually knows what happened to Gawain on that journey. It was a long, long journey, and nobody quite knows what happened. It's always sort of left out of the story. But this school in Chevening have suggested that he got lost in Castle Chevening Maze, rode through the Castle Chevening keyhole. I don't know what that is, but that sounds magical. He encountered the magical Chevening flower and also the magical Chevening dogfish. So there was a lot of activity around Chevening. But then he rode northwards to the Wirral. And it was a strange and desert land, that Wirral. There were strange creatures living among the rocks. There was little to eat. There was no food. There was no friendliness. There was no hospitality. He became tired and strong and ready to encounter the green night as the dark nights drew in and the winter came along. He came to a great castle. And in the castle lived a great knight who he'd never heard of before, called Sir Bertilac. And when, I'm just looking at that horse is so beautiful. Oh, Chris. When Sir Bertilac came to the door, he saw this little perished young knight. And he said, "Oh, come in, little knight, and have a big dinner, and it'll all be great. And we'll give you lots and lots and lots of hospitality. And tell us what your quest is." So Gawain comes in and they run him a hot bath, and it's his first hot bath for a year, and they give him food and they sit him by the fire and they say, "Tell us, it's the winter. We want to hear stories. What is your quest?" And he says, "I have come here to the Wirral to look for the strange green chapel. Because in the green chapel, in 3 days from now, I am to meet the terrible and frightening Green Knight. And he is to give me a dolorous blow. And it may well be the end of my life. But I have to keep my word, because this is a story about trust and about keeping your word." Well, Sir Bertilac laughs. He goes, "Ha, ha, ha, ha! You have no need to be concerned, because the Green Chapel is but 2 miles from here. You can stay here for 3 days, gathering your strength, feeling good, and in 3 days' time, we will come with you to the chapel and see what happens. But from now till then, each drink, be merry, for it is Christmas time." And Sir Gawain says, "Oh, thank you very much. It's very kind." And Bertilac says, "But I will make a deal with you. Tomorrow I go hunting." Well, you shouldn't go hunting because you've been on a horse for a year and you've been freezing cold and you've been riding around the Wirral. You should stay in bed and have a nice time. But I will make you a deal. I will bring you anything that I catch when I'm hunting, if you give me anything that you are given while you are in my house." And Gawain says, "Well, okay, that sounds fair enough." And Sir Bertilac's wife, whose name we don't know actually, smiles at him and says, "And I will make sure that Sir Gawain is well looked after in the house. I will bring him books to read and harps to play and food to eat while you go out hunting, my dear." And she gave her husband a kiss and off he went. So the next day, Sir Bertilac goes out hunting in the mountains. He hunts up and down the mountains in the cold winter day. And all the time, Gawain just stays in bed, reading a book, having a nice time, thinking, well, these could be my last days. I might as well enjoy myself. And the lady of the house comes to see him and says, "Do you have everything you need?" And he says, "Yes, I'm very comfortable, thank you very much." And she smiles upon him, and she's beautiful, and she's got fabulous hair, and she's learned and clever, and she sings him a song. And she says, "And I have a gift for you, if you would take it from me." And she gives it. She holds out her hand. And in her hand is a Freddo, a little Freddo box, the little chocolate bar. And so Gawain goes, "Ooh, great." And he can smell the chocolate. And it's a very potent smell, because you've got to remember that this is in the 14th century. So chocolate had not come to Europe yet. They had chocolate all over South America, but no one had ever had a Freddo. This was the only Freddo in the whole of Europe, because chocolate had not arrived in Europe yet. This is the only Freddo in Europe. It smells intoxicating, the smell of the chocolate. He really wanted to eat it. But he remembered his deal with Sir Bertilac. So he put the chocolate under his pillow. I'm just watching. Does he do this? He puts the chocolate under his pillow, and Sir Bertilac comes riding back in. And he has been in the mountains with his archers and his swordsmen and his quarry hounds and his deer hounds, and they have caught a stag, a magnificent stag with huge, huge antlers, and killed it. And he brings it into to Gawain's bedroom, and he throws the stag onto the bed and says, "There you go, that's what I've caught for you today, a stag, and we will have it roasted tonight." And Gawain says, "Oh, thank you very much. And what did you get for me?" And he says, "Got you a Freddo." And he gives him a Freddo. And Gawain is thrilled to bit. So Bertilac is thrilled. This is chocolate, incredible thing. And he smells the chocolate. "Where did you get this?" And I've sworn not to say where I got it, but this is what I got, and this is my gift to you. So I have kept my trust. I have kept my bond. Fantastic. So that night, they roast the stag upon the fire. And afterwards, the pudding, they split this little Freddo up between the three of them, the beautiful Lady Bertilac, Sir Bertilac, and Gawain. They ate a third of a Freddo. The next day, the stars are still shining in the sky. The bright frost is still upon the ground when Gawain hears the ringing of the hooves as Sir Bertilac rides out to hunt once again. But this time, having hunted on the mountains, he now hunts in the forest. Through the trees he dashes with all his men and his hounds baying and calling. Through the dark woods he goes, while Gawain stays in bed, reading a book and remembering how nice that Freddo tasted, when into the room, quiet as perfume, drifts the lady of the house and wakes him and says, "I have a gift for you if you will take it from me." He says, "Oh, thank you very much. What's the gift?" And she holds out her hand to him, and in her hand is a tangfastic. You know the Haribo, the very, very spiked, the Haribo with the sugar on it, and it's quite fizzy in the middle. A tangfastic. And Gawain can smell that tangfastic. He can almost feel how it would sparkle on his tongue. And this was a magical thing, a gift from the future, because tangfastic wasn't invented for another 600 years. This was the first tangfastic on the earth. He so wanted to eat it. It looks so juicy and green, like the Green Knight, and crunchy at the same time, and fizzy in the middle. He took it, but he remembered his promise. And he took the fantastic and he put it under his pillow. And that afternoon, he heard the ring of the hooves on the cobbles, and into the courtyard rode Sir Bertilac with his hounds and his men, and carrying over his shoulder, he was carrying a wild boar, which he had hunted down in the forest. And he brought that wild boar into Gawain's bedroom, and he threw it onto the bed and said, "See what I have brought you today." And Gawain says, "Oh, thank you very much. That's a dead good, dead big, dead pig. A dead good, dead big, dead pig. Thank you." And go, "Wow." And Bertilac says, "And tonight we will roast it upon the fire, and we will have it as a feast to build your strength up for the terrible trial that awaits you when you go to the Green Chapel. And we will quaff things, and we will sing lays, and we will lay a table. And did you get me anything?" And Gawain says, "Well, yes, actually, I did get you something." And under the pillow, he takes out, in exchange for the great big bristly, glistening, fierce wild boar, a tangfastic. "I got you a tangfastic." And the knight is thrilled. He said, "This is amazing, a tangfastic. I can smell it already. I can feel it fizzing on my tongue and the crunchiness of the sauce. This is going to be amazing." So that night they eat great haunches of wild boar, roasted upon the fire with apples in its mouth and spices and tusks and party poppers and Christmas crackers and party hats, and it's all amazing. And afterwards they have the tangfastic. They share a tangfastic between them. The third day comes, and Gawain knows that this is his last day, for on the fourth day he must go and meet the Green Knight in the Green Chapel. And he lies in his bed listening. to the hooves ringing on the cobbles, as Sir Bertilac rides out with his men and his horses and his hunting dogs. And this time they go hunting all up and down the shores of the Wirral, the bit where you can see Wales, kind of Heswall type way. And they hunt up and down the shores. And what do they catch? They catch a lion. And they bring it back alive to the castle. And all the time that Bertilac is hunting out up and down by Heswall and Morton and Oxton and all the nice places on the Wirral, Gawain is in bed. And the lady of the house, Lady Bertilac, comes to see him. And she says, I feel sad that tomorrow you are facing this terrible trial. I have brought you a gift, a special gift. And she takes from her waist her green belt. And she says, if you wear this, you will be indestructible and you will not die. Gawain is very, very delighted with this and very excited about this. And she says, and also as a parting gift, I give you this. And she kisses him on the cheek and goes away. Bertilac comes into the room with the lion still alive and says, I've brought you a lion. Shall we cook it? Because I've still quite a lot of boar left over. Thought we could make a stew and maybe some sandwiches. And Gawain is like, it's a lion. No, don't kill the lion. I think it's cruel eating lions. Sir Lancelot eats lions and I don't think it's the right thing to do. Then we will let the lion go. So he lets the lion go. But it's your lion, okay? Yeah, I let the lion go, but it's your lion. We call it Gawain. Gawain the Green Lion, okay? Off it goes. The lion goes away. But what did you catch for me? And Gawain, because this is a story about trust and honour and keeping your word, gets out of bed and says, only this, and gives Sir Bertilac the kiss. Gives him a kiss. Is that all you got? Says Sir Bertilac. Really? Is that all? And Gawain bites his lip, thinking, shall I tell? But if I tell him if I give him the belt, then I won't have the belt. And the belt is what will keep me alive. Yes, he says, just a kiss, nothing else, just a kiss, nothing else. Why? No reason, just wondered. So let's go and have some leftover boar and leftover stag for supper then. And they have a party, but it's a quieter party. And Gawain feels a bit bad because Sir Bertilac has been so good and he has had to lie to him to stay alive. And the next morning, with a heavy heart, Sir Gawain and Sir Bertilac set out for the chapel. Oh, and Lady Bertilac too. And they come to the chapel. And they go to the chapel. And on the way, when nobody's looking, Gawain ties the belt around his waist. He doesn't want Sir Bertilac to see it because Sir Bertilac will recognise it as his wife's belt, which he didn't give him. He didn't keep his promise. And Sir Bertilac says, there is the chapel, I believe. You have to go in on your own. And the knight says, Sir Gawain says, yes, I have to go in there alone. You can't come with me. Goodbye. Thank you for everything. And off he goes towards the chapel. And that's when he puts the belt on so that no one can see him. All the way through this story, Sir Bertilac's been wearing a big gown and a big hat, and like the lord of a manor would. Gawain goes into the chapel and he waits there. And the sun comes up through the chapel window and it lights the little tiny stained glass windows. It's a very, very small chapel. And it feels even smaller when the door bursts open and the Green Knight comes in. And once again, he is not wearing armour. He is carrying a branch of holly and a big axe. And you can see his big, bare, green chest and his big, bare, green legs and his big, bare, green arms and his huge, flowing green beard. And the moment that Gawain sees him, he realises that the Green Knight is Sir Bertilac. He's been staying in the Green Knight's castle all this time. He just didn't recognise him. Now the Green Knight is standing there in the chapel. And he says, and now it's my turn to hit you with my axe. And Gawain goes, yeah, okay, gosh, I hope this belt thing works, he says. And so Gawain bares his neck, ready for the blow. And so Gawain, so the Green Knight lifts his axe ready to bring it down. And then he goes, wait, are you sure you're ready for this? Are you absolutely sure? Yes, I'm ready, says Gawain. I've kept my word. I've kept my word. I'm here. Do your worst. And he picks the axe up again and goes, and when you say you've kept your word, do you mean you've kept all your word? Yes, absolutely. I've kept my word, said Gawain. Just kill me. Just chop my head off. I can't wait any longer. Been waiting a year. It's been waiting. I'm fed up with it now. Just chop my head off, please. So the knight gets, this is the third time, and he brings the axe down. He just cuts the corner of Gawain's neck there and says, I was never going to kill you. It was just a game. And I've just nicked the corner of your neck there because I think you did not keep all your word. You kept most of your word, but not all of your word. Am I right? And then Gawain shamefacedly gives him back the belt. And the Green Knight hugs him and wishes him a happy Christmas. And they go back to his castle and they celebrate Christmas. And Gawain rides back to Camelot and all is well. And that's a story. That's a strange story with a happy, happy ending and some incredible drawings by Chris. Wow, they're amazing. Happy ending. So it's a story about trust and about happy endings. We had a couple of questions, Chris. I don't know if you can hear them or answer them. Ida wanted to know how you decide what a character should look like.
Well, Frank, if you can hear me, yes, I just see what happens as I draw. So I draw all the time, and I just like sort of playing around and seeing how characters develop. So I really liked your description of Gawain as very young. In fact, he is actually green, isn't he?
Yes.
Very honourable.
These are amazing drawings. Oh gosh, that's so fantastic. And did you so do you have people in mind when you're drawing those? How do you get those faces? Do the faces just flow, or do they? So the knight, the Green Knight, is that? Have you got somebody in your head when you're drawing that?
I hope not, Frank. I drew this this morning, just before we came on, just to do a version of my Green Knight. So I don't know. I think that looks like someone who's been in lockdown for a very long time.
It's a strange story, isn't it? When you get to the end, you realise that it's a very complicated ending to explain.
And what I'm doing at the moment, Frank, is I'm actually illustrating the all the legends of King Arthur for a wonderful writer called Kevin Crossley Holland. And next week, I will be illustrating Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Oh, brilliant. So this was a practice run for you.
Really good practice.
But the medieval story is very complicated, isn't it? There's a lot of detail about hunting deer and hunting boar. And are you going to put that in? Are we going to see diagrams of how to chop up a boar?
No, but you're going to see lots of tabletops full of delicious things to eat. Possibly, I might even sneak a little fantastic in the corner. just for those who've listened to this, they can find it.
It's written in very, very difficult language, the Gawain and the Green Knight. It's not that old a story. It's the 14th century, but it's very, very hard to read because it's from a part of England that didn't become the dominant part of England. But Alan Garner, the great writer, told me that if you read it out loud, he can understand it because it's the way people in Cheshire used to talk. Like, so his granddad would still have talked like the people in the Gawain and the Green Knight story.
Oh, I love that.
And green is always magic, isn't it? It's always the colour of magic, I think, for lots of different reasons. The one reason that I'm really attracted to the Green Knight story is, I don't know if you know this, Chris, but I change colour.
I didn't know.
I have the ability. It's not the ability. I kind of have I have a strange blood disorder, which means that if I get at all stressed or ill, that I hemolyze, so I turn bright yellow, but not. I don't mean yellowish. I mean like Homer Simpson coloured. So growing up, I had those nicknames. You know, I was Custard Face, I was Margarine Man, Banana Boy, Marzipan Man. I was all those things. So I've always been attracted to characters who are the wrong colour, like the Green Knight. Yeah, there we go.
It's a good superpower to have.
Well, what's strange is that I don't actually know it's happening. I don't feel any different, but I'll go into a cafe or something and say, is there a table for two? And they'll go, no, because they assume I'm an alien, or it's catchy in some way.
Well, I love this, Frank. I think there should be a National Trust colour called Frank. And it's like a beautiful, beautiful sort of slightly yellowish, white with a hint of yellow in it.
Yeah.
Look beautiful on their windowsills.
Yeah. No one's ever said it was beautiful before. People have always just been. Sometimes people walk up to me and go, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm a doctor, and I think you're about to die. Go, no, it just happens from time to time. So you're going to do all the Arthur stories, is that right?
Yes, all of them, right from the very beginning with the sword in the stone, and all the way through to the very end, where Sir Bedivere throws the Excalibur back into the lake, right at the end. Spoiler alert. And then Arthur goes off to Avalon in his sort of boat across the waters to Avalon, and there he remains to this day. Although I think the Sage Committee has just been in touch with Arthur, saying we've got a bit of a problem going on here. Do you have, an Avalon sort of vaccine of some sort? So he might be coming to our rescue.
Because he was supposed to come to England's aid when things went really wrong.
That's right.
Do you not think that would be, maybe this is a book that you and I should do together, Chris? It should be that Arthur does come back in response to something like this and goes, yeah, how can I help?
I think it should be
Show me that virus.
It should be called Arthur and Boris.
Yeah.
Sir Boris
to ride to the rescue.
The bumbler.
Okay, well, as school is about to end, we're going to say our big thank yous to Chris. It was so difficult to tell this story because I just kept looking over at your screen and watching what magic you were working there. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you everybody for coming. We can't see your messages because I had to turn YouTube off to stop it echoing. But I know you're out there somewhere and I hope you had a great time. And we're going to do something similar next week. We haven't decided what yet, but thank you very much. And I'm going to end the call now. It feels a bit sad saying just hello to you in public, Chris, but saying goodbye to you in public, Chris, but I give you a big kiss and a tang fastic if I had one.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay. Goodbye.